Welcome, guys, to a brand new TV show spoiler review. And this time, I'm normally doing breakdowns of each episode of WandaVision, but this time, I'm giving you an entire season of Dickinson. Season 2 just wrapped up today on Apple TV Plus, and today I'm giving you my full spoiler review of season 2. Does it set up a season 3? Is it better than season 1? I'm going to let you guys know in this spoiler reviews. Before I get started with Dickinson season 2 spoiler review, please leave a thumbs up button. That's the best way to support this channel. Also, please comment down below your spoiler thoughts of Dickinson. Did you actually like this season of Dickinson better than season 1? Are you excited for a possible season 3, or do you think the show should just end with this season? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. And I'm so close to 100 subscribers. Please subscribe and follow me on social media. Also, that's in the description down below. Let's get into this review. So I really enjoy this show. I think it's an extremely solid comedy that is very unique to anything on television at the moment. The fact that this show takes place in the 1850s with pretty much 2020 dialogue and music, I really loved. And the first season, I really enjoyed. It was the first show that dropped on Apple TV Plus. I watched it the day of its release and ever since then. So I've been a day one person from this show, and I really love this show for sure. It's really led by an amazing performance from Haley Steinfeld as Emily Dickinson, who is truly fantastic in the show. And she really could, now there's a lot of great supporting characters. I'm going to get to them in a minute, but she really is the show. And I was going to bring this up as well because, again, one more warning, it is a spoiler review. So if you've not seen season 1, if you have not seen this season, obviously, please watch Dickinson. I highly recommend it. It's 10 episodes, 30 minutes apiece on Apple TV+. But Dickinson, for me, there was an episode this season where she basically wasn't in the episode until the last 5 minutes. And you can kind of feel the life coming out of the show until she came back on screen. And that's the powerful performance and the character development that Emily Dickinson, played by Steinfeld, has. Haley Steinfeld, everyone knows, is a big-time star. This clearly is her best work to date. Now, obviously, she was nominated for an Oscar in True Grit. She was really great in Bumblebee, but I haven't really seen a lot of True Grit, and so I'm excited for her to be in the MCU. But this is a great performance, just like last season. And I said, there's a great supporting cast. Emily's brother, Austin Dickinson, he is become, if not my favorite character of the entire show this season. He is really great. His relationship with Sue, his marriage, really becomes a thread this season. The idea that Sue is kind of just using him for money and all this type of stuff. And Sue, before I keep going with Austin, Sue is the person that I think had the biggest character switch from season 1 to season 2, and one of the biggest arcs of the entire season. So obviously this season is about Emily Dickinson wanting to be famous, basically, having her poems, not just writing them for Sue, but writing them for the public and publishing it in the newspaper. So we have a new character here, a news editor who comes into the season. And Emily and Sue, Sue is best friends with this. We think best friends, but actually lovers at one point. Sue arranges for the two of them to be have a connection and to help promote her poems. And her poem, one of her poems, two actually get released in the season. One is kind of the big one that kind of sets up the show, but Sue has had the biggest character switch, in my opinion. I really loved her character in the first season, and there was one episode of this season where I thought Sue was kind of back, that Spot episode. I'm not sure what episode that was, maybe like 6 or 7. That was my favorite episode of the entire season, so in the season. But Sue was a character who went through a lot of ups and downs for me this season. She had times where she was kind of acting like Sue in season 1, and then she had her pretentious self, and Sue became one of the most hated characters for me in the entire season. Even though they kind of revealed stuff that she had a miscarriage with Austin's kid. We thought Austin's kid maybe was the news editor's kid, but then I really didn't like her character. I really didn't like her character in the first half of this season, the first 5 episodes. She was really unlikable, and because she was so pretentious and wearing all these fancy dresses, even though she's come from nothing and now getting everything, she comes off as very pretentious. And I don't think she was being a good friend to Emily in the first half of the season, pushing her into this direction. Emily really didn't want to be, it really doesn't, as that's kind of the big message of the season, is that you can be a no one but still be a good person in general, and you don't have to be famous to be rewarded for what you've done, and being a nobody isn't a bad thing. I think that's kind of what the main message of the show is being a no one is not a bad thing. You don't have to be famous to achieve something. And I thought they executed that really, really greatly in the beginning of the finale episode, where they had that really great conversation between Emily and the news editor, Sam. And they had a great conversation in the finale, how Sam could basically make her famous. Sam's kind of there for her, putting her poems out. And Emily's kind of like, I want my poems back. Because really, in the season, once Sam took those poems, her ideas went away. She felt like she was put into a box. Her ideas left to her. And I thought all those parts were actually quite fantastic and really great ideas, that to balance out the dynamic between Sam and Emily. At times, it felt kind of like Sam was trying to use her for romantic stuff, even though he wasn't. And then she was kind of into him, but then she realized she wasn't. And it was all kind of mixed together in where Emily needed to be a nobody. We kept getting that guy who we weren't sure who it was until the second to last episode or the third to last episode. And we found out that was Austin's best friend, who she finds out is killed because of this ghost who keeps telling her to be a nobody. And I do, as I said, love the messaging of the show. But as I said, it's not just about Emily. A lot of other characters have great stuff to do. Really, the family is just the best. Austin, as I said, gets a huge upgrade over season 1, in my opinion. He's really great, especially the last 3 episodes. I thought Austin really kicked into high gear. His character got a lot more to do. And you really felt for him, because he really did like Sue a lot. And he wanted to have kids, and he wanted to be taken seriously as a business person. Even though his dad kind of gave him all of these things, he still felt like he had to earn something, because even his dad this season made fun of him a lot for just, he's given everything. His dad didn't really take him seriously. Even though he's on the board, he doesn't tell his son anything about what the business is doing. So he feels very left out of it. And also, Austin and Emily have a great dynamic this season, because obviously they both kind of are in love with Sue, but they both have their own things. They're both really close to each other, and I hope this season showed that the greatest. Emily's sister also has a subplot where she was engaged to this guy Chip, and that worked, and then they broke it up, and then it seems like they completely broken it up at the end with Chip moving to New Orleans, and her sister is staying home. She wants to stay in Amherst, so we have that going for that. So that subplot seems to be concluded this season. This show, And of course, the parents are fantastic. The Dickinson parents are funny as ever, especially in that opera episode. Really, really funny. They always make me laugh when they were stuck in that hole in the first half of the season, then the opera. It was just hilarious, hilarious stuff. But as I said, my main issue with the show this season, there was one episode where Haley Steinfeld's character, Emily Dickinson, was a ghost, basically, and she was seeing stuff, but it was actually real stuff, and only Austin could see her. That episode really pulled me out of the show for that episode. It felt like the show did feel grounded, simple, but also realistic at the same time. And then they added a completely supernatural ghost stuff to this season with, obviously the Wiz Khalifa stuff isn't real, and I get that, but the being a ghost and seeing Sue and Sam, have sex, and then seeing the African American workers who work for the Dickinsons in the barn, it just felt weird that she was a ghost. Like it just felt off, and I just didn't like that episode. I talked to my mom about it. She loves the show. She really loved that episode, and I was on the complete other end. I didn't hate it, but I thought it was just fine. And it just took me out of the show for that small period of time. Luckily, they never went back to that subplot whatsoever the rest of the season. But we end on a really, in my opinion, an off-putting but nice note. That we get to see Sue and Emily come back together, because Sue is, I guess, fully committed to being in love with Emily, which we kind of got at the end of last season, but didn't really pick up until this episode. They made out, they did stuff, and we ended on Emily and Sue together, which I'm not a fan of, in my opinion. Now, this could have all been a dream. Because of this supernatural stuff and the dream sequences in the show this season, I have no idea if this last 5 to 10 minutes was actually real. There was a couple shots I was like, is this a dream sequence? Is this real? I honestly don't know, which is quite exciting. Now, if it's real, that end sequence, then that is great. And I think that Emily and Sue do deserve to be with each other, but also Sue did a lot wrong for Emily this season. If it's not, it's also a great way of looking at Emily's life. Is she a true nobody, or does she also need Sue to be there with her? All great factors. So overall, guys, I really love this season 2 of Dickinson. This season did feel a lot more memorable than season 1. So I would probably say Dickinson season 2 was an upgrade over season 1. So thank you guys so much for joining me as I just want to talk spoiler talk of Dickinson season 2. Let's continue that discussion in the comment section down below. Please comment your spoiler thoughts of the show. This is one of your favorite shows of the year, favorite Apple TV Plus shows. Did you get Apple TV Plus just for Dickinson? Let's have a fun conversation in the comment section down below. Like the video, subscribe, comment. 2 more reviews, actually 1 more review coming today. And then Monday I'll be in my recap of the Golden Globes. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys in the next one.